Hey everyone, I'm here to do a currently reading video for you guys. It's quite late, but I'm wide awake pretty much, so I figured why not. But that's the reason why the lighting is what it is, rather than like natural daylight, but hopefully you can see me and it's fine. But this is going to be my reading for pretty much the next like 6 days or so. It's going to be through next Sunday that I want to talk about. So the first thing that I'm reading is David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. I am planning on reading a little bit of this every day for the whole month of October. I am listening to the audiobook narrated by Richard Armitage, and I originally was just going to get this audiobook out of the library whenever I got to this book, but then when I heard that audiobook was coming out and I had an Audible credit, I snatched it up immediately because I love Richard Armitage with all my heart. He is a great actor and he is just such a great narrator, and his voice is perfect for narration. Yeah, he's wonderful. So I've been listening to it. I've only listened to about a little less than 2 hours so far, but I'm really, really loving it. And his narration is wonderful because it is, basically he's really great at being very distinctive with creating individual voices for each of the characters. Pretty much, like, from what I've heard so far, none of his voices for any of the characters is the same. And I love it because he has given Betsy Trotwood, David Copperfield's aunt, a Scottish accent, and it is beautiful. I'm pretty sure it's a Scottish accent. And yeah, it's fantastic. And yeah, so I'm really loving his narration so far. And as far as the story goes, I knew this was going to be sad going into it. Like, I was well aware of that. Remembering what I had seen of the 90s film. I think it's a film. It may be a TV miniseries. When I was little. And then also, I tried to read the first 50 pages of this or so right after reading Nicholas Nickleby, and it was already really sad, and I could tell certain things that were going to happen, like just one like little subplot, I could tell where it was going, and I was like, I can't read about this. And I ended up giving it away, my other copy, because I just didn't think I was going to like it. And I don't really know why. I shouldn't have given up after 50 pages. And I also shouldn't have tried to read it right after reading Nicholas Nickleby, because Nicholas Nickleby is my favorite Dickens book so far. So I really shouldn't have tried to immediately follow it up with another Dickens, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so I knew this was going to be sad, and I was prepared for that. And so far, it has been pretty sad, but there have been a few happy moments so far. I'm only 3 chapters in, but there's this chapter that just happened it's chapter 3, and it's called I Have a Change. And in it, David goes to visit his family's servant's family. His family's servant is called Peggotty. Her first name, I believe, is the same as David's mother, and that's why they call her Peggotty instead of by her first name, but I can't remember the first name of either of these ladies. But anyway, so Peggotty takes David to visit her family for a little while, and it's sort of sad because, well, okay, it is sad because the family has a very depressing backstory, unfortunately. But it's a time where David is really happy, so I really love that chapter, just because it's a very happy time for David. And, yeah, so I really liked that. And again, like, parts of it have been really sad, but the writing is so beautiful, the language. There's a particular moment described between David and his mother, right before he goes off with Peggotty to visit her family. And that's not really, saying he goes off with Peggotty to visit her family isn't really a spoiler, because it's just like a very small portion of the story so far, and I'm not going to tell you like why he goes with her to visit her family or anything like that. But yeah, the moment when David and his mother are saying goodbye to each other before he goes to visit Peggotty's family is really endearing and beautiful. And that's all I know so far, because that's like as far as I am, but I'm really liking it, and so I'm hoping that I will love it I'm hoping I'll love the whole thing, and I'm hoping to finish it by the end of the month. Next, I am reading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Attempting to read it. Yeah, I'm trying to read an hour of this a day. I have yet to read my hour of it from technically yesterday, because it's past midnight. So what I might do is I might just read 2 hours of it today, this coming day, which is Tuesday, maybe. But anyway, I'm trying to read an hour of this every day from now until I finish it, which would probably be about the middle of December if I can do this every day. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I decided to do it like that rather than trying to rush, because I'm still number 20 or 19 in line for the War and Peace DVD, and how my library works is for miniseries or TV series, they give you 3 weeks instead of, like, they give you the same amount of time that they do for a book rather than a week, because for films, they just give you a week. But since miniseries and TV series are longer and have multiple episodes, they give it to you for the same length of time as a book. But the downside to this is that means that I'm sure quite a few people will be keeping the DVD for the entire 3 weeks, which means I will... it'll take me a long time to get it, basically. But I figure that will give me the time to fully appreciate the book, and also hopefully in 2.5 months, by the time I finish this, I will be significantly closer to being able to check out the DVD. So, yes. And then I am also reading some Edgar Allan Poe. I am reading this with Amanda Center, and we have picked out about 15 different Poe tales and poems. And so far we have read Fall of the House of Usher and The Raven and The Pit and the Pendulum, and today, or Tuesday, I guess, like, the coming day, yeah, because it's like the middle of the night, you guys, but we're reading Lenore, so that'll be really interesting. So far, Fall of the House of Usher has been my favorite, and The Pit and the Pendulum has been my least favorite. That just didn't grab me really until the end, so that was kind of disappointing, although I did like this one part in Pit and the Pendulum when the narrator / Poe is talking about time, and he gives this imagery of time that's exactly like the Grim Reaper with a scythe. So instead of it being the Grim Reaper / death, it's time, and I think that that's really cool. So I really liked that, and then it did get really exciting towards the end, but I'm not going to say why, because that's a spoiler. And I love this edition. I really need to read this intro because it's introduced by Guillermo del Toro, who is the editor for the entire Penguin Horror series. The Penguin Horror books consist of, or at least the ones I know of, are this one, which is the Collected Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe, as well as H.P. Lovecraft collection. I'm not really sure what is included in that, and Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, as well as The House on Haunted Hill by Shirley Jackson. And they are all this gorgeous. Like, this is just beautiful, and I love it, and I love the black-edged pages. I love that on the inside it looks like charcoal, or it's like charcoal pages. It's gorgeous, and it's perfect. It's a perfect design for a gothic work of fiction. So yeah, I really need to read the intro for this, and This was also really cool reading Fall of the House of Usher because I had just rewatched Crimson Peak. Yeah, Crimson Peak like 2 weeks ago, and it was the first time I'd seen it since last year when I saw it in theaters. And it is directed by Guillermo del Toro, and I believe he also wrote it. And in an interview, the actors were talking about the fact that Guillermo del Toro gave them pages and pages of backstory on each of their characters so that they would know these characters like the back of their hand, and they would completely understand their motivations. And it was just so cool because these were characters that were not from like any novel or anything, but he still created pages and pages of backstory for them. And he also told each of the actors to watch a whole bunch of different Gothic works that he suggested, Gothic films, and also different works of Gothic literature. And one thing that I know he told at least Tom Hiddleston and maybe also Jessica Chastain to read, and maybe also Mia Wasikowska, I never know how you say her last name. Anyway, it could be all three of them had to read this, I'm not really sure, but one of them was Fall of the House of Usher. And having read this after seeing that film, I now completely understand why the actors were made to read that short story. And it's just, oh my gosh, it was so cool. And I really love that film, and I just thought it was really cool that that was Guillermo del Toro's basically love letter to Gothic fiction and Gothic films, and then hearing that he was the series editor for this, it kind of gives me a new appreciation for that, and I really need to read this because I think it's going to be really good. Okay, and next we have Peter and Alice by John Logan. I am halfway through this, and I'm hoping to finish this tomorrow, I hope. It's due on Thursday, back to the library, and I'm going to the library first thing Wednesday morning, so I really need to finish this tomorrow. And then other things that I want to read that I don't have to show you, unfortunately, because they're all upstairs, are tomorrow and Wednesday. Yeah, I will be reading Dr. Thorne by Anthony Trollope. I'm hoping to finish it, but I'm not totally sure that that's going to happen because it's a 20-hour audiobook, and I do have other things that I'm doing both days. I'm especially going to be very busy on Wednesday, but I'm still hoping that I'll be able to finish it tomorrow and Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday and Saturday, I will be reading The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. I was originally trying to finish Demelza and Jeremy Poldark, both by Winston Graham, but then I found out that PBS is putting all of their Sunday night programs on hold this coming Sunday for the vice presidential debate, which is totally fine. But I don't know why they would pick a Sunday night at 9 o'clock to air a vice presidential debate, because I feel like that's not a time that most people would watch it. But maybe that's just me. So anyway, since there's a week pause for all their Sunday night programs, that includes Poldark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put reading that on hold in favor of Woman in White, because I really want to make sure that Woman in White gets read. And then Sunday, I really want to read Anne of Avonlea by Ellen Montgomery, just because I've really been in that kind of mood recently. I rewatched, I think it was about a week ago, I rewatched season 2 of Green Gables Fables, and they do such a great job of adapting this story. And even though I haven't read the books, I know how well they adapt it, because they get things from the books that they adapt that aren't in the film series from the 80s, which I think is a huge deal. So I learned quite a few new things about the story watching season 2 of Green Gables Fables. And at that point, I really wish that I had already read at least the first 3 books in the series, but I hadn't. So certain things I was like, what? But it really made me understand just how much the 80s films left out. But I still really love the 80s films too. But anyway, that made me want to rewatch Anne of Green Gables, the sequel, and then that in turn made me want to read Anne of Avonlea for the first time, finally. So I'm going to be doing that on Sunday. So yeah, that's about everything that I am currently reading, and then what I'm going to do is maybe on Sunday I might do a TBR for the next week, or just like a current reads for the next week. So yes, that's everything that I am reading, and I really also want to do a video talking about all of the book to movie adaptations that I'll be that I'll be watching this month, because I feel like there are a lot, and a lot of them are to do with the books that I'm going to be reading. So yes, I will do that one next, and let me know what you think of any of these books that I've mentioned. Let me know what you're reading in October. If you're participating in Victorian October, I would love to know. If you're reading anything really spooky for Halloween, I would also love to know that. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.